is Art Delinsky, and you are listening to the Art Deli Sideshow. So glad you're here. Today I'll be covering two stories that came across my news feed. Thank you, news feed. First one is about Zohran Mamdani, who made history by announcing the first pure d'etat tax, I don't know how to pronounce it, pure d'etat tax in New York. A pure d'etat tax is an annual surcharge on residential luxury properties that are used as a secondary home, part-time home, and not a primary residence. I'm going to actually let Mr. Mayor Zohran Mamdani explain himself, because the billionaires are going nuts right now, and it's actually making for some really interesting and out of touch and quite frankly hilarious comments from these billionaires. But let's hear from Zohran himself about this new pure d'etat tax that he's imposing in New York.
I ran for mayor. I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today, we're taxing the rich. I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York's history. This is an annual fee on luxury properties worth more than $5 million, whose owners do not live full-time in the city. Like for this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich, those who store their wealth in New York City real estate, but who don't actually live here. But even so, they're able to reap the huge financial rewards of owning property in, dare I say, the greatest city in the world. And most of the time, these units are sitting empty, since again, they don't actually live here. This is a fundamentally unfair system that hurts working New Yorkers. Now, it's coming to an end. This tax will raise at least $500 million directly for the city. It'll help fund things like free childcare, cleaner streets, and safer neighborhoods. As mayor, I believe everyone has a role to play in contributing to our city, and some a little bit more than others. Happy tax day.
Say whatever you want about Mamdani, but you can't say the dude isn't funny. And posting this on tax day on the official New York Mayor YouTube channel, chef's kiss, I tell you, hilarious. Anyways, I thought this was interesting. And it reminded me of another tax from Portland, Oregon. It's a Portland Clean Energy tax, which was projected to earn $60 million per year, but has actually generated $20 million per year, and thus far allocated $1 billion to like nonprofits and the different funds that the tax was supposed to fund. And this was set in 2018. So since 2008, from 2018 till now, they've collected over $1 billion and have allocated those funds to where they need to go. And it actually worked so much so that like there is not an elected official or like politician in Portland, in the city council who can't keep their grubby paws off of this fund because it worked. And I understand that this is like a tax on sales tax. It's a retail sales tax. It's not a personal wealth or tax that's on private property. I understand that there's a huge difference, but the thing that reminded me of this, of the kind of correlated in my brain, is the intense backlash from people who are opposing the New York coup d'etat. That's not coup d'etat. Oh my God, no, the pure d'etat tax. I'm just going to call it the real estate tax because it's just easier for me. I don't know what the fuck a pure d'etat means. So this real estate tax in New York is different because it's on private property and on personal wealth. I don't say personal wealth, but like it's a personal tax as opposed to the Portland example that I just gave. But the thing that that they have in common, the connective tissue, is the response to the tax, which both in Portland for the real estate tax and in New York for the wealth tax, you have, folks saying, well, this is going to drive out business. Big corporations are going to leave, and in Portland, that's what they said in Portland. And in Mamdani's case, folks are saying billionaires are going to leave. So it's interesting. And if we want to keep going down this thought experiment of, well, what happened in Portland? Did a bunch of corporations leave? Some left, some didn't, because the bottom line is that the 1% tax on real estate sales, it didn't, not real estate, sorry, on retail sales, they could eat it, like they ate it, and this has generated a lot of money for the city. So in the defense of billionaires, no, I'm kidding, I wanted to hear what they were saying, because billionaires can't shut the fuck up because they're fucking billionaires, and they are all about power. And I'm not saying it out of like, it's not a political statement. That's just like, have you met people? You know, they can be a thousandaires and they're going to act funny, you know? So imagine a billionaire. Anyways, I went online and I looked for, and it was not hard to find. I just wrote Mamdani tax, and it was just like, fuck this guy. So this is a really quite, I gotta say, just fucking hilarious title in the CNN article. Mamdani's tax the rich slogan is just as hateful as racial slurs, New York real estate titan says. Fucking Stephen Roth. Hilarious. They're calling it creepy and weird. Ken Griffin, who is the guy who Mamdani pointed out in the video that I just shared. So Mamdani pointed out his $238 million penthouse, and Ken Griffin said, that's creepy and weird. I get it. And also, I feel like that's public information. So, you know, I don't know. But, you know, I get it. It's, you know, what I'm going to just read a little bit from this article as far as their responses. Steve Roth, the CEO and real estate giant of real estate giant Vornado, went further Tuesday on an earnings call. I consider the phrase "eat the rich" when spit out with anger and contempt by politicians, both here and across the country, to be just as hateful as some disgusting racial slurs or even the phrase "from the river to the sea." Roth referred to the pro-Palestinian phrase that the Anti-Defamation League labels as anti-Semitic threat. Mamdani announced a plan to last month to tax New York's luxury second homes with market values $5 million and above, saying it would fulfill his central campaign promise to, quote, eat the rich. He singled out Griffin's penthouse as a prime example of, quote, fundamentally unfair system that allowed the city's richest to store their wealth in homes that sit empty most of the time without paying city and state income tax. Mamdani, business leaders have rallied to Griffin's defense and said Mamdani's video endangered his safety. I get it. I get it. You know, and also like, I get it. I understand why they would be outraged by that. And also, I hope that you can understand how I would think that video was freaking hilarious. Most of New York City's business leaders fiercely opposed Mamdani, a Democratic socialist, during his campaign last year. Since he's entered office this year, some have warmed up to him and considered him to be pragmatic, but the video, which came out 3 weeks ago on tax day, has outraged many of the business class. They say that the hostility towards the rich will drive out business and wealthy taxpayers from New York City. Fair enough. Okay, that is what folks are saying now. And then later on, Griffin said he compared New York to Chicago. So here's another comparison. I had my Portland comparison. We have this fella here making another comparison. He compared New York to Chicago, where Citadel was previously headquartered. That's his business. Griffin moved Citadel out of Chicago in 2022, citing crime and anti-business sentiment. Looking at what Mamdani did to me, and more broadly is doing to the city of New York, is triggering the trauma I went through in Chicago. Okay, I'm sorry that you're feeling trauma, Griffin. A pure-date tax could generate approximately $500 million annually and an estimated 11,200 second homes, according to the city's comptroller. It's interesting. The political clash in New York comes as other cities and states attempt to raise taxes on the wealthy. Similar political cycles are playing out over the impact these taxes will have and the risk of the wealthy fleeing. Interesting. Very interesting. So now that we have the billionaires' response, I want to play a news segment that is actually Mamdani's response to the billions' response on the pure-date tax that he's announced. So let's listen to what they have to say. I gotta say, there's some really interesting points in here. I can talk about it some more when we get back.
New York, for high earners in New York, rich folks, particularly high wage earners, is the highest tax jurisdiction in the country by far.
world.
In the world. Like there's literally nowhere in the world that the marginal rate on a high income earner is higher than here. And that includes the social democracies of Europe. It includes places that have all sorts of services like you said. So at a certain point, is there a limit, right? Is there some point that you cross where you do start to pay some real economic costs?
I don't think that we are talking about that at this time. Frankly,
You just don't think we're near that limit?
I don't think that, when we talk about increasing personal income taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers by 2%, or we're talking about increasing the corporate tax on the most profitable corporations, a lot of times what we're talking about doesn't even come close to what the tax rates used to be in this city or used to be in this country, right? For all of the conversation of the now, we forget where we were in terms of this country's relationship to the tax.
Well, let me get Morris's thoughts first, because yes, I mean, we had 90% marginal rates under Eisenhower.
Sure. But there's the idea of rich people moving out. No, the whole point of being rich is you can live wherever you want. I live exactly where I want to live, in a co-op on Park Avenue.
Yeah.
The people I'm afraid are moving out, like the teachers. I have a granddaughter who goes to PS 163 right on the west side here. I want to make sure that they can afford to live in the city. I want to make sure the city can provide those services. The services like buses, like groceries, like hospitals and museums, and all the things that the people need that make New York such a place that rich people are from all over the world are moving into New York, and middle-class people who want to have kids are moving out of New York where they can afford childcare.
Let me say this in defense of the pied-à-terre tax, as you've been calling it, the second home tax, right? It does strike me as being designed, and it's not, there's other taxes that would be on income, right, or on businesses. It does strike me as designed to hit folks that really do have quite a bit of money and aren't even really living here.
I don't disagree with that, but I think what you have to put this in the context of is we cannot let the federal government off the hook. In 2018, as a result of the first Trump tax reform, we lost, after 100 years of being able to deduct most of our state and local taxes as a taxpayer, we lost that deductibility. That alone doubled the tax burden of New York City residents on their New York City tax. So it isn't like we haven't had a major tax increase. And those are the kind of things that we have to look at, is sort of what has the federal government quit doing that the city is now being forced to do, like adequate supply of food, like adequate supply of housing. We have to refocus, because a local tax base can never make up. We can't print money like the federal government.
This is a great point, right? Because there's a little bit of the limits of like socialism in one city kind of thing, right? Which is, you're not the federal government, and it is a very unequal place. It's probably the most unequal place, I think, in America, likely. How much can you build here without the federal government?
I think that we're looking to get right up to that limit of everything that we can do. And the reason I say that is that one of the most frustrating things you can tell a New Yorker when they ask you for help is, that's actually not my jurisdiction. Yeah. That's a federal issue. That's a local issue. That's a state issue. New Yorkers don't have time for the technical differences between what government sector is responsible for what thing. They want to know where you want
I think that was actually a really interesting point that the lady was making about the federal government kind of, shrinking itself as far as the kind of support that it's providing to states. I mean, after all, states' rights, am I right? I'm making a joke. And let's look at, for example, SNAP. The federal government is saying, we are going to shrink SNAP. We are going to create job requirements and up the age for seniors and blah, 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 and things with children, single mothers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if you're going to do that, the state has the right, I think we fought a war about that, the right to do what? Again, a joke. The state has the right to react and respond and take care of its people. That's the point of the, of local government, right? I mean, are you following me here? So if the federal government is going to shrink itself and not provide as much subsidies or support for the people living in the states, the state government and local government is going to take it upon itself. And so this is what's going to happen. Like, this is the result. This is the chain of events. I mean, was the federal government just expecting states to just not do anything, not respond to the lack of support? Of course, they're going to tax the wealthy. I didn't fucking go to school for this. I could tell you that much. That makes sense, right? And another thing that I thought was, I was just like, damn, that's kind of a good point, is where the wealthy billionaire who's willing to get taxed, what his point, he was saying, I'm rich, that's the point. That's why I live in New York. I can live wherever I want. Okay, all right. I didn't think about that. I did not think about that. Anyways, I'll make sure to keep everyone looped in the story. If we hear any mass exodus of a wealth flight from New York, we'll see where the billionaires go. Maybe they'll find themselves on a neat little island. Anyways, on to the next story. So this one is coming from Philadelphia, PA. There is a senior at PA Preparatory Charter High School, and he was walking around doing kind of like Vox Pop interviews, with the students. And the subject for the interview was, can you read? Bitch, they could not read. The students had a really hard time trying to pronounce the words, trying to read. He put a sentence on an index card and just had students read it. They couldn't do it, man. They really struggled. Some of the students were able to read the index card, and then he would ask, what does that mean? They did not know what it means. Oh my God. My stomach hurts thinking about this. Like, it truly unbelievable. These are high school students, seniors. These are seniors. Oh my God. Anyways, I want to share the video and some of the consequences followed the student who posted the video, and shocker, he got in trouble and now he can't go to prom. And I think that I'm not sure if there's any issues. I think either the school might be trying to expel him or something. So there's like issues with him being able to graduate. And it's shocking. It's shocking that the administration is trying to punish the student as opposed to be accountable to the student body. Anyways, let's view this video, and this is coming from Black Information Network. Anyways, here is the Philadelphia Preparatory High School student doing interviews with fellow students, with the subject matter being, can you read?
Who's this for? Ordinary, but somewhat culture?
Now explain what that means.
I don't know. She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat gooch.
Annual act the choir to accommodate the governor's schedule.
All right, what does that mean?
Right, they ask the people to sing for the governor's schedule. I don't know what this means.
Who asked the choir to accommodate the governor's schedule?
What does that mean?
He asked the choir to accommodate. I don't know, bro. It means he asked him to read his schedule. So like.
Yikes, dude, that is terrible. So after the student uploaded those two videos, he posted this on, I don't know if it's Instagram or TikTok, but he posted this online. He said, I would post a part 3, but the school board is trying to expel me, stop me from going to prom, and stop me from walking at graduation. I don't know, chat. Fuck, unbelievable. This is like so disgusting. There is also an advocacy organization that is out of Philly, and they posted this on their social media. I am writing to express concern regarding the school's decision to pursue expulsion of a senior student over the creation of a TikTok account that involved interviewing fellow students on their ability to spell words. From what has been shared, the content appears harmless in nature and does not promote violence, bullying, or any kind of form of serious misconduct. The Black African American student is a senior that is foreign with a strong academic record and a high GPA. The Black African American student is a senior that is foreign. Why would they? That's a what? Okay. Strong academic record and a high GPA, which reflects consistent dedication, responsibility, and commitment to their education. To jeopardize their future at such a critical point over an activity that seemed intended to for lighthearted engagement raises questions about fairness and proportionality in disciplinary action. He's right. The school the school is Preparatory Charter High School, and the TikTok page is at What the Vec. Please do something about this, and if you need more information, please let me know. They're trying to take everything away from him, including prom and graduation. Damn. Yeah, that was awesome that he posted that, because it kind of put the story on the map. And then Reverend Jordan Wells also posted about this, and he said, as a teacher myself, this is the reality in far too many classrooms across the country, yet the make it political, yet the left wants our students more focused on protesting than actually learning to read, prioritize education over activism, stop punishing truth tellers. I don't think any politician has children's well-being and education in mind. I think it's unfortunate, but that's unfortunately the truth. So I won't necessarily put this issue at the feet of the left, or quote unquote the left, but they're, no one is really helping these students. They're continuously failing. And it's jarring to see, first of all, because it's like, what the fuck, these students can't read, personally for me. And then I also think my personal concern is, holy shit, these people are going to be out in the world. Like, they're in 10 years are going to be, they're 18 now, so 28, close, inching to 30. What the fuck what prospects do these students have? And then what's going to happen to me when they're out in the world? I'm going to have to deal with them. Like, what? I'm not, you can't read. What kind of comprehend? And it's not even about them not being able to read. It's what that means. Critical thinking skills, being exposed to literature. This is, oh my God, knowledge is power. To be disempowered as a youth, what kind of future are they going to have? And why? This is insanity. Absolutely just crazy. God, it makes me sick just thinking about this. You're not giving these students a chance. These students, these people, the disadvantage that these systems are putting these children in is just, it's mind-boggling, because at the end, all of society will have to deal with this. This is not a Philly problem. This is not a school problem, a Philly problem, a personal problem. This is a collective fucking issue, and we need to do something about that. What? I don't know. I know that some cities have nonprofits that are tutoring, and they do free tutoring for students in inner city schools, blah, 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 blah. But fuck, I mean, who's flagging these issues? Like, who's saying, David can't read. And I've done a story about this before. David can't read. We need to get him in a specialized class, or we need to give him a little extra tutoring or something. But if the first line of defense, which is the teachers, aren't raising the alarms, then how will David's parents ever know to enroll him in extra tutoring that these nonprofits offer? You know what I mean? Forget about even knowing that these organizations and resources exist. Forget about that. Just the first line of defense of knowing that there is a problem, admitting that there is a problem. And I think this is from Abbott Elementary, which it's a TV show, okay? But still, I heard this quote said, if one student is failing, that's the problem of the student. But if all the students are failing, that's the problem of the teacher. And we are collectively, continuously being failed. So we'll keep an eye on how this develops. Hopefully the Philly... Oh, wait, actually, no. Before I wrap this up, I want to read the audacious response that the Philly charter school had. After all, let them defend themselves. And this is... I don't know if this is actually from them, but this is what's being published. It's from the Preparatory Charter School in Philly, written by the chief executive officer and the principal. To whom it may concern, I don't think this is real. I'm already thinking, all right, I'm just going to keep reading it. Prep Charter High School is aware of the video currently circulating on social media involving several of our students. We want to emphasize that the content of this video does not accurately reflect our school community or the values we strive to uphold every day. While some students may have agreed to be filmed, the way the footage was presented lacks important context and has led to a portrayal that is misleading and unfair. The video, titled "Can You Read?" does not represent the character, effort, or ability of our students as a whole. Furthermore, the resulting posts also shared on social media regarding the disciplinary action of the students who recorded the videos are also an incorrect portrayal of our school's mission, which focuses on maintaining a respectful and supportive environment for all students. Our main priority ensures that every student feels valued and that our school continues to reflect the standards of academic growth, integrity, and digital responsibility that define Prep Charter. We appreciate the community's understanding and continued support. This is in quotes. I don't know if this is I don't know why this is in quotes. Although FERPA does not allow me to discuss the details of what disciplinary action was taken, the student in question is not facing expulsion or denied prom or graduation. Sincerely, Prep Charter Administration. Well, that's nice. And if that letter is real, then I'm happy that they didn't ban the student who took the videos from attending prom or walking down, for graduation. And, maybe they can give this letter to the students who were featured in that video, and then, they can read it. Or not, depends. Anyways, my name is Art Delinsky. I've been talking with you about Zohra Mamdani's historic new real estate tax and also the PA Charter School Can You Read viral video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to reach out, you can find me on Instagram at ArtDeliSideshow. Okay, that's it. That's all I've got. See ya. Bye.